I just left my home to nowhere. I have no plan. I just wanted to save my child.
So many different tough stories coming out of this conflict. There, a mother discussing her only goal to protect her child. NATO countries are getting approval to send fighter jets, meanwhile, to Ukraine. Putin sending about 100% of Russian forces into Ukraine. Families fleeing to the west. The UN estimates more than 1.7 million Ukrainians have fled to safety. When we last covered some of that crisis at the end of the week, it was more around 1 million. An 11-year-old boy arriving in Slovakia after his mother sent him on a 620-mile journey alone. She stayed behind to take care of someone else, her sick mother. It was an act of necessity, and he made it to the border with a plastic bag, a passport, and a telephone number written, you see there, on his hand. Volunteers were able to help reunite him with family in Slovakia. The increase in families fleeing comes as 4 civilians, including 2 children, were killed over the weekend, many others trying to avoid the same fate.
They were running for their lives, frantically trying to keep their families together amid the mayhem and gunfire, desperately handing over their toddlers to soldiers and strangers, scrambling to get away from the firing and shelling, even as they fled.
That's a terrible situation for those children and families. And then there are those in even tougher straits. NBC's Tom Yamas reporting on an orphanage where children are in limbo as this war continues.
Friday, we introduced you to a group of Ukrainian orphans evacuated from the war zone. 8-year-old Demetrius told us how he hopes to still be adopted.
Anything you want to say to anybody, friends back in that other region?
I want them to stay alive, not to die.
We've heard from analysts and experts. We've heard from our reporters. Now we turn to a member of the Ukraine parliament, Inna Sovsun. Thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
What do you want people to know and understand about this unfolding humanitarian and refugee crisis?
So it seems that Putin's plans of Blitzkrieg have failed. And because they have failed so badly, the Russian soldiers are now turning into cruelty. What we are seeing is just inhumane cruelty towards civilian population. We have heard from some Russian soldiers who have been held prisoners by the Ukrainian army, who directly said that Russian officers are telling their soldiers to shoot at civilians. And what you're seeing now are people trying to escape the city of Irpin, which is just 20 minutes drive from Kiev. It's so close. I've been to the city so many times. I just can't believe that this is happening to people. We are seeing those people trying to flee for their lives, but not all of them managed to do so, because one man lost 2 children when Russians have started shooting in the people who are trying to flee. And his wife was wounded. She was taken to the hospital. And just a few hours ago, I read on Facebook on his post that his wife also died. She couldn't manage to survive. I can't even try to understand what that man is feeling right now. But there are so many more people in the town of Irpin who are still in the basements, who are still hiding from Russians, and who don't know how to survive and how to leave that city. It's just terrible, and it seems that because their strategic plans of entering the city of Kiev have failed, they're just now turning to absolute inhumane cruelty towards the civilian population, including children.
As you say, that is a different type of warfare. The foreign policy here has been widely criticized, as you know and our viewers know, but that is still the policy of war or an unprovoked aggressive invasion. What you're talking about is another level, the thing that some leaders are ultimately put on trial for, which is the deliberate targeting of civilians, a war crime, non-combatants, a war crime, children, a war crime. I want to just show for your response some more of what we're hearing about those types of accounts with regard to targeting civilians. Take a look.
I was helping people evacuate near the bridge, and I wanted to give some chocolate to a child, and there was a family of 4 there, but only the mother survived. A child about 13 or 15 was hit by 2 bits of shrapnel in the head and died immediately. All 3 of them died.
That's an account there, courtesy of Sky News. Go ahead, please.
No, this is unbelievable. We are seeing that all over Ukraine. Those are the accounts of Irpin, but we also know that there are tens of thousands of children in the basements in Mariupol, which is southeast, which has been under siege by Russian troops from day one of war. My native city of Kharkiv, thousands of people are hiding in basements and they don't know how to escape. It is a bit easier in Kharkiv because even after a week of under siege, after being bombarded from air for the whole week, they didn't get into the city of Kharkiv because the army is holding the ground, they're protecting the city. They actually managed in this incredible situation to push the Russian troops further from the city of Kharkiv, which has given me great hope. So the Russians are not in the city of Kharkiv because if they get into the city, we have seen what they're doing. They are now robbing the people. They are entering the houses of people, which they take control in the area where they control the area, and they enter in the houses. They're shooting people in their houses. They're taking their money. They're randomly shooting at people on the streets. It's just terrible. And you are absolutely right that those are the war crimes, and they will need to be prosecuted for that. But right now, we just need that to stop. We just need that to stop happening. And what we're asking for, of course, primarily to help us ensure the safety of our sky. If the bombs stop falling onto our heads, it will be so much easier for the Ukrainian army to protect the civilians if they don't have, at the same time, care about ensuring the safety of the civilians from those airstrikes. So that is why this issue of no-fly zone, or at least the fighter jets flown by Ukrainian pilots, is so very crucially important, that we just stop losing lives every day, every minute in this inhumane war that Putin launched against us.
Mm-hmm. Inna Sovsun, a member of the Ukraine Parliament, on the policy and the humanitarian crisis and the potential road ahead. Thank you very much for joining us, and stay safe.